There may be teardrops to shed. So while there's moonlight and music and love and romance, let's face the music and dance, dance. Let's face the music and dance.
Hello, I'm Ryan Breegle, and you're listening to Let's Face the Music, a podcast exploring the stories behind the standards of the Great American Songbook.
There may be teardrops to shed. So while there's moonlight and music and love and romance, let's face the music and dance.
Are you ready? Let's face the music. Today's song is Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas, written by Hugh Martin and Ralph Blaine, and performed by Judy Garland.
Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Let your heart be light. Next year all our troubles will be out of sight.
This is Judy Garland singing Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas on December 22nd, 1963, as the opening song for the Christmas episode of her weekly television program, The Judy Garland Show.
Next year all our troubles will be miles away.
Judy sets a warm, welcoming mood straight away by telling us about her plans to spend the holiday evening with her family and friends, and then inviting us into her television studio home to join them.
Hello. Well, I guess we're all in the spirit of the season by now, so I'm doing what everyone else is going to do tonight. I'm going to stay home with my family, and we've asked a few other friends to drop in, too. And, I'm terribly sorry, but would you like to... I shouldn't keep you standing here this way. Come on in. Come on. Come on in here.
On its surface, Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas is a song sung by someone feeling down and looking to the future for something brighter. Not entirely sure if next year will bring better things to their life, but hoping it will. Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas was famously jollied up by a well-known male vocalist who didn't want to have such a brooding, introspective message bringing down the mood of his cheery Christmas album. But curiously, 5 days after Judy Garland's Christmas show aired, a film premiered containing a scene in which the same male vocalist could be heard singing this song in its original downbeat lyrical state. The song set to a film visual both brutal and horrifying. Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas was written for a 1944 film project created by producer Arthur Freed and director Vincent Minnelli called Meet Me in St. Louis. It would star Minnelli's future wife, Judy Garland. The screenplay for the film was based on a series of stories first appearing in the New Yorker magazine in 1941. Written by author Sally Benson, the stories about her childhood at the turn of the century in St. Louis, Missouri, were wildly popular and were soon compiled into a book titled Meet Me in St. Louis. For the film, the Benson family became the Smith family, with the script documenting one full year in their lives, leading up to the 1904 World's Fair. Arthur Freed knew he wanted the film to have a handful of songs for the characters to sing, and it was important to him for the songs to be organically incorporated, taking the Smith family from one season to the next. He also had a pretty good idea of the songwriting team that he thought would be up for the task. Hugh Martin and Ralph Blaine were a pair of songwriters equally skilled at words and music, who first collaborated on the musical Best Foot Forward, a big hit on Broadway in 1941. Arthur Freed got to know the two men when he produced the film version of Best Foot Forward 2 years later. And when he began putting together the creative team for Meet Me in St. Louis, Freed had a feeling that Hugh Martin and Ralph Blane would be able to capture the sentimentality and old-world charm of this loving family in St. Louis in the early 1900s. Something you need to know about the songwriting team of Hugh Martin and Ralph Blane is that their songs were credited to both men, but were truthfully always written by only one of them. Sometimes Martin, sometimes Blane. It's how their partnership was set up, I suppose similar to how Paul McCartney and John Lennon would operate 20 years later. Hugh Martin was interviewed twice by Fresh Air for NPR, once in 1989 with Ralph Blane when Blane was still alive, and then again in 2006 after Blane had died. In 1989, Martin explained their songwriting setup.
We always have to go through this with people, and it's very complicated and hard to explain, but we've only written one song in our entire lives. It was lyrics by Ralph and music by me, and that was a minor song in Best Foot Forward. One of us will get an idea, and since we're both proficient at writing lyrics and music, by the time we presented it to the other, we've usually almost finished it, and then the other one will critique it and polish it. So, half of them are by me and half of them by Ralph. He's written shows alone, I've written shows alone.
In the case of Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas, the song was entirely the work of Hugh Martin, although Ralph Blane did save the song from literally being thrown away. Hugh Martin tells the story of the tune that Ralph Blane heard him working on and fell in love with.
Well, it began with the melody. I found a little madrigal-like tune that I liked but couldn't make work. So I played with it for 2 or 3 days, and then I threw it in the wastebasket and forgot about it. But Ralph, bless his heart, how you reacted.
I remembered that little melody, and it kept haunting me. And I came into the room one day, and I said, Hugh, what did you do with that little melody that you were fooling around with at the piano, that was like a madrigal? He says, I threw it in the wastebasket. I said, oh, no. I think I've got a great idea. You mustn't do that. Let's get it. And so we dug around in that wastebasket, and we found it. Thank the Lord we found it.
Yes.
Both writers described the melody as sounding like a madrigal, a vocal style of music popular in the Renaissance era. Hugh Martin says that the original set of lyrics were so lugubrious, or sad and dismal, that he got quite a lot of pushback, especially from the film's star, Judy Garland.
But the original version was so lugubrious that Judy Garland refused to sing it. She said, if I sing that to little Margaret O'Brien, they'll think I'm a monster.
And what were those original lyrics?
Have yourself a merry little Christmas. It may be your last. Next year we may all be living in the past. Pretty sad.
In the film Meet Me in St. Louis, the song is sung by Judy Garland's character, Esther Smith, to her younger sister, Tootie, played by Margaret O'Brien. Their father has recently announced that his company is moving him to a New York City office, so the family will be moving there right after Christmas. The children don't want to leave their life in St. Louis, so Esther sings the song to her younger sister, encouraging Tootie to be sure to have a Merry Christmas this year, because who knows what changes the following year would bring. To match that mood, Hugh Martin thought this downer lyric was exactly what the scene needed.
And we thought that was just dandy because it was a sad scene. But they said, no, it's a sad scene, but we want a sort of an upbeat song, which will make it even sadder if she's smiling through her tears.
Despite the filmmakers and Judy Garland's reaction, Hugh Martin didn't have any interest in rewriting the lyrics.
I was young then and kind of arrogant, and I said, well, I'm sorry you don't like it, Judy, but that's the way it is, and I don't really want to write a new lyric. But Tom Drake, who played the boy next door, took me aside and said, Hugh, you've got to finish it. It's really a great song, potentially, and I think you'll be sorry if you don't do it. So I went home and wrote the version that's in the movie.
Tom Drake was the actor playing the boy next door, John Truitt, Judy Garland's love interest. So we have Tom Drake to thank for convincing Martin to suck it up and try again. And so the lines, "It may be your last, next year we may all be living in the past," were transformed to the more hopeful, "Let your heart be light, next year all our troubles will be out of sight." Here is Judy Garland singing those rewritten lines in a Lux radio version of Meet Me in St. Louis, broadcast on December 2nd, 1946, 2 years after the film was released.
Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Let your heart be light. Next year all our troubles will be out of sight. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Make the Yuletide gay. Next year all our troubles will be miles away.
But the final verse of the song, as it appeared in the film, still contained a line that was a little depressing.
Someday soon we all will be together, if the fates allow. Until then, we'll have to muddle through somehow.
Until then, we'll have to muddle through somehow. Muddling through referring to simply coping, making it from one day to the next, but only barely. A perfect lyric for the family situation in the film, presently sad and gloomy, looking to the future for happiness. While this idea of muddling through works well for the storyline of Meet Me in St. Louis, a certain male vocalist thought that outside the context of the film, it was unnecessarily brooding. Hugh Martin continues from 2006.
Then I got a phone call from Frank Sinatra saying, I'm doing an album called A Jolly Christmas, and I love your song, but it's just not very jolly. Do you think you could jolly it up a little bit for me?
Now, it's absolutely true that Frank Sinatra loved Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. He first recorded the song in 1949 for his album Christmas Songs by Frank Sinatra.
Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Let your heart be light. Next year all our troubles will be out of sight.
And when he called Hugh Martin to discuss making the lyrics more jolly, he was planning to record the song again for a 1957 album titled A Jolly Christmas from Frank Sinatra. Sinatra would then go on to record the song a third time in 1963 for use in a film which we will soon explore. So yes, Sinatra was a fan. And while his 1949 version uses the original muddle through somehow lyric, by the mid-1950s, Sinatra must have felt that he had enough influence and sway to convince Hugh Martin to write the singer a new, happier line, which, indeed, he did. Hugh Martin continues.
So then I wrote the line about hang a shining star upon the highest bough, and Frank liked that and recorded it.
Hang a shining star upon the highest bough, and have yourself a merry little Christmas now.
In addition to the new line at the end of the song, Sinatra also altered a few words at the very beginning and in the bridge, which changed the meaning of the song completely. Remember the original version.
Next year all our troubles will be miles away.
Sinatra sings, next year all our troubles will be out of sight, and next year all our troubles will be miles away. In this new jolly version, Sinatra doesn't sing about being happier next year. He sings about being happier right now.
From now on, our troubles will be miles away.
From now on, our troubles will be out of sight, and from now on, our troubles will be miles away. And then the bridge. Originally, the faithful friends who were dear to us will be near to us once more.
Faithful friends who are dear to us will be near to us once more.
By 1957, Frank's faithful friends who are dear to us are gathering near at this very moment.
Faithful friends who are dear to us gather near to us once more.
Sinatra's 1957 version moves any talk of life being better next year to life being better right now. And it's a nice concept. It's what the modern idea of mindful meditation is based on, living in the present. But Sinatra sings about Christmas like it has this magic power to fix your current problems and get rid of whatever sadness and anxiety you are feeling. Christmas has arrived. All your worries are gone. Of course, a song about being happy right now is sure to sell more records. These happier present-day lyrics caught on, and this slowly became the definitive version of the song. When Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas is sung today, the singer nearly always sings the From Now On and Gather lyrics, and the Highest Bow line. Hearing someone sing about being happy next year and muddling through today would be a little startling. So it is very strange that just 6 years later, Frank Sinatra would record the song for a third time. And for this recording, he would revert back to the original lyrics, the same ones he sang in 1949, the same ones Judy Garland sang in Meet Me in St. Louis. However, Sinatra may have had a very good reason. This version was used in a film that premiered in the United States on December 27, 1963, called The Victors. The film follows a group of American soldiers through Europe during World War II. One of the soldiers depicted was based on a real Army soldier, Private Eddie Slovic. In 1944, while fighting in France, Private Slovic deserted his troop when he could no longer handle the horrors of combat. Thinking he would receive a dishonorable discharge and a prison term, Private Slovic was shocked to learn that President Eisenhower had decided to make an example of him. Private Slovic was sentenced to execution by firing squad. In the film, this soldier is forcibly led through a snow-covered field and tied to a pole, and we are shown close-ups of his fellow servicemen watching the event. Some with stoic faces, some looking concerned, some not quite sure that what is about to happen in front of them is real. All the while, Frank Sinatra's new third version of Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas with the original lyrics is heard.
Someday soon we all will be together if the fates allow. Until then, we'll have to muddle through somehow. So have yourself a merry little Christmas now. Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas.
A black sack is placed over the soldier's head. The song ends, and the only sound is the blowing winter wind. One fellow soldier starts to grin. Another has tears in his eyes. The firing squad raise their guns, and they fire. It is certainly a bizarre use of the song, but had Sinatra sung the happier, present-day lyrics, the scene might have been even stranger. Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas resonates with people for different reasons. For some, it takes them back to the feeling of Christmas when they were children. For others, it brings to mind loved ones who have moved away or left this world altogether. But perhaps it means the most to those who aren't thrilled with the way their life is right now, but are able to look ahead to next year when they are certain that things will be better. It seems Judy Garland herself wanted to keep everyone's spirits up that holiday season in 1963 when she sang the rewritten Sinatra verse for her television Christmas special.
Hang a shining star upon the highest bough, and have yourselves a merry little Christmas. Now
Let's Face the Music is brought to you by We Own This Town. Find out more at letsfacethemusic.show. Our theme music is performed by Ella Fitzgerald and Nelson Riddle and written by Irving Berlin. Thank you for listening, and please have yourself a Merry Little Christmas.